You're already 5 years old, and you're still afraid of some stupid things, Mom grumbled, sleepily rubbing her eyes and lighting the table lamp on the bedside table. Her little daughter was sitting on the edge of the bed, her eyes wide with horror, clutching her hand. Well, what is it? Mommy, can I sleep in your room? Well, please. The girl looked pleadingly at the woman, desperately clinging to her. Daughter, what's wrong with your room? There's someone under the bed, someone is hiding and sitting. I'm really scared. Please, can I sleep here? Don't make it up. You're already so big, aren't you ashamed? Mom tried to shame the girl. There is no one under your bed, you just had a terrible dream. Well, Mommy, well, please. The child's eyes are filled with tears. Come on, stop it. The woman got angry, throwing off the body and peering into her daughter's face. Let's see what it looks like. She got out of bed and, lifting her trembling daughter in her arms, carried her to the nursery. On the way, she quietly said, "Now we will go to bed quietly and sleep sweetly until morning." After putting the girl in bed, the mother lit a night light in the form of a rose, which stood on a shelf above the bed, and tucked in the blanket. Well, she said softly, now let's look under the bed. The faint light of the nightlight revealed the dusty floor and old slippers that had been lying there since the last century. There are only slippers and that's it, the woman laughed soothingly, returning the nightlight back to the shelf and bending over the crib. You see, everything is fine. Go to sleep and don't wake me up anymore, please. I have to get up early tomorrow. And why? The girl asked, covering herself with a blanket almost over her head. How why? Mom was surprised. To work, of course. Mommy won't get enough sleep if you keep running back and forth. Sleep without thinking about any bad things, okay? The daughter nodded her head and immediately closed her eyes. Well, that's good, the woman said conciliatingly. Good night, my girl. Good night, Mommy. The woman mowed the nightlight and left the room. Her shuffling footsteps towards the bedroom soon subsided. The girl turned over from the bed, trying to get comfortable, and closed her eyes. The clock display in the mother's room showed the time. 2:30. Somewhere far away on the street a dog barked, a cricket crackled outside the window, and the girl jumped in surprise. Closing her eyes again, she tried to fall asleep and not hear these nocturnal sounds. But there was no sleep in either eye, probably because she woke up at 11 o'clock this morning. The dog on the street barked even louder, even more fiercely, as if scaring away uninvited guests from his house. The girl trembled. She was no longer sure that there really was no one under her bed and that it was only a figment of her imagination. When will this nasty dog stop barking? Only he doesn't let me sleep. Then the girl, hugging her favorite toy, a plush cat, which her uncle brought her as a gift. In an embrace with a toy, the girl felt safe. Carefully running a small weathered hand over the fluffy striped fur of the cat, she tried to imagine that he was alive, and she heard his soothing purring. The dog's barking subsided a little more, and he completely disappeared. The sweet embrace of sleep had already begun to gradually envelop the girl, her hands clutched the toy, gradually weakened. Suddenly, an invisible dog outside the window burst into a loud battle, breaking the silence of the night. The girl immediately opened her eyes. Hands again convulsively squeezed the plush cat, as protection from unknown danger. Most of all now the girl wanted to jump out of bed, but no, you can't wake up Mom. She was very tired. She will swear and tomorrow will not take her for a walk in the park and will not buy ice cream. The howl of a dog, dreary and heartbreaking, filled the night streets, echoing, and because of this it seemed even louder. There was clearly horror in this howl. This horror was transmitted to the girl. She lay motionless in bed, afraid to move. If the cat was alive, he would have suffocated by now. It seemed to the girl that if she let him go, something very terrible would happen, and she held him tight. The dog was overstraining himself, catching up more and more fear. The first tear rolled down the girl's cheek. She grabbed the edge of the blanket to pull it over her head and not hear this terrible howling. The plush cat slid off the bed and gently fell to the floor. The girl bent down for the toy. Willy-nilly I had to open my eyes. Fingers found the cat and grabbed him. She was about to dive under the covers when she suddenly noticed some movement in the hallway with her angular vision. The door to her room was open, and the corridor was visible as in the palm of her hand. The girl, looking closely, saw some kind of blurred black shadow on the far door. Her fingers were numb from fear, her insides seemed to be frozen with icy cold. She instantly hid under the blanket, clutching the toy with a death grip. She hoped that this shadow, whatever it was, wouldn't notice her if she lay still. A strange sound, like a hiss, was heard from the corridor. Right behind him, there were soft slapping footsteps, as if someone was stamping wet feet on linoleum. The girl, dying of fear, nevertheless cautiously looked out through the crack. The dark shadow turned out to be a dense black silhouette, like clumps of black smoke. But smoke doesn't have arms and legs, and this creature had them. Something hunched over, with limbs bent at unnatural angles, as if broken, was slowly moving along the corridor, from time to time emitting a hiss, and slapping on the floor. After lingering for a couple of seconds at the entrance of Mom's bedroom, it resolutely moved towards the girl's room. Before she hid and squeezed her eyes shut, she managed to see tiny red eyes. The slapping footsteps sounded closer and closer. Most likely, it has already entered the room. Through the blanket, the girl noticed that the moon had disappeared outside the window. The window was closed by something or someone. The creature was standing right in front of the bed. It breathed in hoarsely, as if sucking in air, and exhaled with a hiss. A hand with a multitude of fingers reached out to the girl, who was trembling with horror. There were a lot more than 5 of them. Tears were streaming down the girl's face, her ears were ringing, and there was one thought in her head. Be quiet, just don't scream, because Mom can wake up, and Mom can't be woken up. It happened today. I leave for work early, at 5 o'clock in the morning. The elevator is being repaired, so we are now going down and up on foot. At the same time, it can be scary, since there is no light in some floors. Descending today, I saw that on the 4th floor the door of the common corridor for 3 apartments was slightly ajar. There is a lamp that slightly illuminated the entrance. I was passing by this vestibule and saw. There is a girl facing the door of one of the apartments. He just stands there, doesn't knock, doesn't react to the sound of my footsteps, doesn't turn around. I knew this girl by her mother. A good family, always left the apartment together, so I thought that she was waiting for her mother, and began to descend further. And in the evening I talked to another neighbor. She said that the girl died in the hospital last night. I turned pale with fear. I'm in shock. I have 2 more months to walk around the dark entrance until the bodice is repaired. But I really saw her. She was standing, strangely, of course, close to the door, facing the apartment, in the same clothes as usual. The horror. I feel uneasy.